Okay, you're on, Sandra.
Awesome. So good morning, everyone. It is Saturday, July 30th, and we are here with Pramela, our friend, aka Pram, and she has agreed for us to pick her brain and soul for the next 55 minutes. So I'm so flattered and grateful. And Pram, everyone is muted right now, but they were just like super stoked to know that you had been so kind enough to join us this morning on such short notice. This, literally just happened a week ago. So it means a lot to us, and you have inspired and touched many of us on the phone call today. Some people on the call just know you by your YouTube video. Some of us, for the first time, saw you at Leadership when your story was shared, but it doesn't matter. You touched us all, and to have you here live is very exciting. So, Pram, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you live, and children. Just maybe a quick 2-minute rundown of who you are.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me here, first and foremost. It still always floors me that, my story seems to resonate with people. For me, it wasn't a story. It was, it wasn't a story. It was just life, It's like, I look at life a lot in terms of like, it's like for a long time, I was standing there thinking that everything was happening to me. But the moment I realized that everything that was happening around to me was my manifestation, it wasn't anybody else's fault. It wasn't that I was unlucky. It wasn't that life, handed me a rough blow. It wasn't that I was surrounded by inconsiderate people. It wasn't that. It was me. And the minute I took control of that, and that's not that I blamed myself, it was that I was accountable for my life, because there are so many things. Okay, there is nothing you can control about your life except you. And the minute I realized that, my whole life began to change. And so it still floors me that people think that, like people look at me and go, oh my gosh, it's such a great doTERRA story. I don't look at it as a story. I look at it as just living. We all have our struggles. Depression is depression, sorrow is sorrow, betrayal is betrayal, anger is anger, depression is depression. These are all universal emotions, and it doesn't matter how we got there. That's just a detail. And so my story may be a little bit more prolific because it sounds improbable. It sounds impossible. But your story also has that thread. And the only way you change that impossible and the improbable, we all have impossible and improbable within us. That was just mine. But it doesn't mean that each one of you don't have that. It's just in a different capacity, but it's with the same intensity. And so, it still floors me. I keep saying that. It still floors me that, it's such a story that resonates with people. But I'll tell you that that's not my story. It's just the forward. And I'm a single mom of 2 amazing children. I started with doTERRA about 3.5, almost 4 years ago. And I, at that time, was living in transitional living for domestic abuse. It was very rough, but it was a good thing. It's a good thing. It made me who I am today, and I really like who I am today. So I've got 2 beautiful children. I'm a single mom. I live in North Carolina, in Asheville, North Carolina, but this is not where I started my doTERRA business. I started my doTERRA business in a town of 24,000 people in Wisconsin. And at that time, I had no running vehicle, and I had very little money. And I was, told that, if you ever want to hit diamond, you have to build outside of your community, and you have to have a global market. That's what I was told. I want you to know that I hit diamond in a town of 24,000 people. And I did not have a global market. And I really didn't go outside of my market more than 75 miles. So don't let the things that people tell you you need to do or you need to have define your dreams and what you can or cannot do. That's their limitations. Don't let it be yours.
Mm.
So I moved to Asheville, North Carolina about a year ago, and I didn't know anybody here. And I'm an introvert. If it wasn't for doTERRA, I would be a shut-in. Happily so. But moving to North Carolina was a very big step for me. I lived in Wisconsin for 20 years, and it was in a town that kept me very, very safe and very, very loved. And it was a big thing for me to come to Asheville, but the mountains called me. And when I moved here, I didn't know anybody, and it was interesting. And I wanted to do this brave, big thing. And it took me a long time, and it took me a few months for me to even become settled here. I would get lost all the time. I'm one of those people that GPS is just a suggestion. I don't follow anything it tells me, so I get lost all the time. And so I was lost in this town that I was like trying to call my home, and the people I was attracting were not good for me. And I'm not saying that in an illegal sense, but in a kind of a selfish, self-centered sense. I was attracting people who just were not the kind of caliber of people that I was used to back home. And I began to really doubt my decision. I went through some really painful darkness during this time. It's easy because, one of the things about me, I mean, you guys look at me and you're like, oh, she's a doTERRA diamond. But there's more than that defines me. There's also, just because we're diamonds or blue diamonds or presidential diamonds doesn't mean that we don't experience darkness, that we don't experience pain, that we don't experience doubt, that we don't fail in other aspects of our lives. We do. And what you see is just what we personify in doTERRA, but there's more to it. So I went through, some really rough times. It's a lot of self-doubt, a lot of scared moments. And I'll tell you that right now. So what does a person do when you're scared and you think you've made a huge mistake in moving 782 miles away from everything you know and everything you love, and your children miss it too, and the people around you make you feel even more alone? What do? Now, this is what I did. I bought a house because I'm like, I am going to make this home. So I bought a house, and guess what? I changed the way I thought. And I changed the perception of what I was attracting, because if I am attracting this, I am attracting it because all of these things that they are is me. And when people behave badly, they behave badly for two reasons. It's usually fear or anger. And I was both angry and scared at that time. And so I was attracting people who are coming from a place of fear and anger. So the minute I recognized that everything I was attracting in my life that wasn't working out was my fault, and I changed me, guess what? My life is awesome right now. Super awesome. I'm not saying it's a fairy tale. I'm not saying that things are not difficult. They are. But I am attracting beautiful people into my life. And it's because I changed who I am. So here I am in Asheville, North Carolina, a diamond in doTERRA, still struggling through life, still making mistakes, still learning and still growing. And so very, very grateful that you have invited me to share a slice of my life with you, and a slice of my thoughts with you, a little bit of my spirit with you. And I hope in me sitting here with you, you begin to see a little piece of you, and that you'll go out and do brave things.
And pass me a Kleenex, please. Thank you. Wow. Okay. That was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I hope that everyone can see now, just in the first 7 minutes of this call, you speaking, exactly why I was just so thankful that you agreed to share with us, because your energy and your voice, your pitch, your tone, even though you're talking about uncomfortable moments in your life, you still resonate hope. Behind every word is hope and faith and strength. So Pram, can you take us back to that day at that class? How did you get to a doTERRA class? How did Pram find herself sitting at an Intro to Oils class? And what was your experience at that class? And where did you go? What happened after that day when you left the class? What were your thoughts?
Okay, so there's a lot. There's it's kind of alluded to in that video that doTERRA produced a year ago. In a nutshell, I crashed a class, and I kind of told that story. But I'm gonna take you back a little bit. I'm gonna give you a little bit that is not in that video.
Thank you.
So, as I started with my introduction, I told you that you attract the things that you want in your life, and you have got to make room in your life for the things that you want. Just wanting it and working toward it isn't enough if you don't make room. So I'm going to just bear with me as I give you an analogy. Say you have a couch that you absolutely adore. You fall in love with this couch at the store. It's the most perfect, amazing couch. It's your dream couch. And you do everything in your power to make sure that you own this couch. You start saving money and you sell things, and you work extra hard. You take on extra hours because you want this couch. It's so beautiful. So finally, one day, the couch is on sale, and you can afford this couch, right? You buy the couch, you bring it home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's going to happen to that couch if you haven't cleared the room for it? If you haven't painted the walls so that the best of that couch is going to show up? If you haven't thrown away the old furniture, and all that old furniture is still there because you haven't let that go, but you have now this beautiful new couch, your dream couch, what's going to happen to that couch? Well, one of two things. It's going to sit in its box in a corner. It's not going to be as beautiful as you thought it was going to be. Or three, it's just going to disappear, or you're going to sell it. You're going to let it go. It's the same thing for all of your hopes and dreams. Wanting something and working for it isn't enough if you don't make room for it. And making room for it is what's more difficult than wanting it and working for it. So in a lot of mentoring programs, they ask you, what's your why? Tell me your why. That is you wanting the couch. And then they tell you, well, here's your plan of action to go out and do it. Do this purposefully. That's you saving for the couch. But usually they don't tell you what you have to let go to make room for that couch. And unless you happen to live in an empty house, that couch isn't going to fit. So that was the point I was at. I was getting rid of all of the debris in my house, my house, this house, this
literally,
this house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was making room. So all the things in my adult life that I thought I wanted, and I knew I wanted, all the things I worked so hard for and failed over and over again. I have had great successes in my life. I shouldn't have been homeless. I had really good degrees, I'm a trained investigative journalist. I edited medical journal articles and textbooks. I worked for Leo Burnett Advertising Agency, which is one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world. I was a disc jockey. I had a morning show. I speak fluent Mandarin. I taught at the university. I taught Mandarin at the university. I owned a marketing company. I owned a magazine. I owned a restaurant. These were all things I had done with my life up until then. And yet I was broken. And yet I had failed. And yet I was scared. And I sat down one night outside. There was a full moon, and it was cold. It was really, really cold. And I sobbed. It wasn't, oh, I'm sad. It was like ugly crying,
Mm-hmm.
And I have this conversation with God every once in a while. It worked before. That's how I got out of my bad relationship. So I was like, okay, it worked then. I'm going to do it again. So I sat and had a really, really heart-to-heart conversation with God. And I'm like, I have always believed that you have a plan for me, but obviously you're not letting me in on it. I'm done guessing. And I want to be a vessel. I want to manifest, and I want the providence. So I know you have a plan for me. I don't ask you for very much. I've always held the faith, no matter what. But I'm going to ask you right now to stop what you're doing just for a second, because you're God and you can multitask maybe. I want you to lavish everything you have on me right now. Lavish me. And the next thing you send my way, I will pay attention. And I will do it. Even if it sounds crazy, I will do it. I will do it with everything I have in me. I promise you, in that, I will do your work. That will be my tithe. I promise. And so about a week later, I was hanging out on Facebook, and a friend of mine had, it was an acquaintance, she popped up and was like, oh, I've got there's this awesome free essential oil class in Appleton for pregnancy and midwifery, and it's, I don't want to drive, would anyone like to go with me? And without permission, my finger said, I'll take you. And I'm like sitting there going, holy crap, what did I just do? I drive a smart car. I don't have gas. I have to find babysitting. What? What am I doing? And before I could delete it, she's like, awesome, come to my house at this time. So I was like, okay. So I drove her to Appleton and crashed this class I was not invited to. I was not pregnant. And I was at a place in my life where nothing was cute. Nothing. Not even baby kittens. Nothing was cute. I was just like, if you're not close, you can't touch me. Only my clothes can touch me. And these kids were licking me. And it's like, I'm like sitting there going, I don't know what I got myself into. I was having this awful panic attack. So as I was sitting in class eating this weird popcorn that tasted like clove and cinnamon, I'm like, oh man, I don't know. This is weird. I don't know. And then, the water's over me. And everybody was like, oh, I was so happy. A lot's about to change. And they're telling all these stories. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I'm trying not to panic. Like, I'm trying. It's like I have really bad social anxiety. So then the class starts and I'm sitting there going, wow, this is really boring. Serious. I was like, this is really boring. I'm not interested in learning any of this. I know all of this. I used to edit medical journal articles. This is not new. I have essential oils at home. I use essential oils. I've used essential oils my entire life. Yeah, not new to me. But what is this that's happening here? I mean, what is happening? Is this like, I was so confused. And then, they were passing around oils and I'm like, if I touch it, they'll make me buy it. And made it very clear, like, yeah, don't like that. Didn't even give it a chance. Like, nah, no, thank you. So, there was a drawing and I had to write write our names down. And I was like, even suspicious of that, I'm like, I almost wrote a false name because I'm like, I never win at anything anyway, But then I forgot I had asked God to lavish me a while back. So I won a little wild orange and never win anything. But boom, wild orange. God was like, all right, here's your reckoning. Are you going to deliver? So I got my wild orange and I'm like, oh, weird. And it's like, it's like I was holding it like this. It's like, oh, it's a cute little thing. And I was holding it in my hand. And then everybody was like, then they were talking about kids and all of this. And they were passing around all this paper. And I was like, again, like, ugh, and then and then the instructor was like, oh, and if you want any samples or anything, come up here. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, smell this. It's awesome. I'm like, I'm going to puke in my mouth. And so I left and sat outside in the parking lot. And I'm like looking at this bottle of oil and I'm like, So I open it and I take a tentative whiff. I wish that there was like a video camera followed me around, because I bet you the look on my face would have been comical, because it was like, I did one of those double takes and I kind of looked at the bottle and I remember thinking to myself, is this stuff legal? Because it felt like I got punched in the head, not in a bad way, but like all the stupid thoughts and all the cray-cray that was going on in my head that I was holding on to got punched, like bitch slapped. And for the first time in about 10 years, I felt my brain smile. That's the only way I can describe it. I felt my brain smile. It was a small smile. Because up until then, for 10 years, I had felt as if I was standing in front of this big picture window. And I knew that there was a world outside. But that picture window was smeared with like petroleum jelly, you know? It's like, you know there's a world outside, but you can't quite see it with clarity. And it felt like there were people who were walking on the outside who kind of thought that maybe there was somebody behind that picture window. But they weren't sure enough to give it a good look-see. So I sat there like a pretty, like a glue sniffer, in the parking lot, like crouched by my smart car, smelling this wild orange. And every smell, every inhale, that smile in my brain got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I felt my heart. Seriously, if it was a cartoon character, it would have lifted its head. And so I walked back in, and I had a little piece of paper, like tiny, like corner of a piece of paper, and I wrote my name and my real number down because I wrote a wrong number. And I walked up to the lady that was teaching class, and I said, "Could you call me?" And she said, "Okay." And I was like, I don't know if she'll call me, because I was kind of cray-cray at class. A few days later, she does. And I had all kinds of questions, because by this point, my brain and my heart were having a block party with the wild orange. And a lot of other parts of me were invited, and everybody was it was a party happening here, And just with that one oil, that wild orange, I wasn't just a presence. I was present. I was like, I don't have to live the rest of my life like this, really? Maybe it was hope. It was hope. And I knew that if I was going to change anything about my life, if I was going to give my children a better life, if I was going to stop dreading living the rest of my life, if I was going to be of any service to anyone, I couldn't do it unless there was a block party going on inside my brain and my heart. Or at least I was happy, everything centers around that. There was nothing that was more important to me. I knew that I could live with nothing, because I was. My children and I had nothing. I knew that I could live without money. I knew I could live in shame because I was so embarrassed. I knew I could live with pain because I had a lot of that. I knew I could live alone because I was. I knew I could live with a lot of things, but I knew I could not live without happy, without joy. So I became very, very centered in that. I was going to get that family physician's kit, not because it would help me sleep better, make my skin awesome. By the way, awesome skin, all essential oil powered. I didn't use the oils. Wasn't interested in the oils for anything other than the happy. The happy. I wanted happy. I wanted my brain to never stop smiling. And so I had a lot of questions for her. I'm like, so what is this that you do? And she like explained it to me. I didn't understand it. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, how do you make money? And she like explained it to me. I didn't understand it. And I was like, okay. And then I said, do you like what you do? And she goes, yeah. I'm like, I don't understand why, but okay. And I said, all right, I need those oils. How much is it? $150. Didn't have it. Like, and when I say I didn't have it, I really didn't have it. Um, but I wanted it. And so I did the dreaded thing, the thing that seriously, I sat outside my storage unit before I opened it for 3 hours, like trying not to shake. And I finally opened that storage unit, and all my stuff was there. I was all stuff that I had not packed. Other people packed for me, and a lot of things were broken and just stacked. And I saw like my past, the thing I didn't want to see any of it. Things have memories, you know? And I took maybe 20 minutes and I just grabbed whatever was in front of me, just threw it, kept throwing it in my car, smart car, so not many things. And then drove it home, looked through things. And I mean, seriously, I didn't care. I just was like, I'm not using it. I haven't used it. Obviously, I don't need it. And I brought it to a consignment store and sold it. And it took a few weeks, and then I was able to get the $150. And then here I am.
Okay, so now you have your kit. You have the oils are in your home. You're using them. You're still in the shelter?
I was still in transitional living. So
transitional living? Okay.
It's a program after the shelter.
Okay.
Before what they want you to do, which is low-income housing.
Okay. So Pram, now you're in this transitional living. How in the world do you host classes?
You don't. It's a safe house. It's for your safe
house.
So you can't.
How in the world do you share doTERRA, and where are you meeting with people? How are you doing class? I mean, how are you enrolling? I mean, what does that look like for someone who's in this position?
I want to start, my answer to you with this little statement, like a disclaimer. I don't remember a lot about my life before Rosemary. Just kidding. I don't remember a lot of my life in that period. Like there was like chunks of my life that I don't remember. What I do remember about my experience, my thing with doTERRA was that it was almost like this hum, it's like, when you're like, when you focus on something, it's like everything else disappears, and it's just that was what it was for me. That was all. And you have to understand too, I really didn't have very much going on for me. So it was a hum. That was my, right? But before anything happened with my decision to pursue doTERRA as a business, you have to let me tell you a little bit about why it happened. First, before the how, the why. I was like chasing happy, right? And so, like, I had this family physicians kit, and back then, the family physicians kit came with Slim and Sassy. Oh my gosh, magic oil. So Slim and Sassy, people are like, oh, it's great for weight loss. No, it is happy. It is happy in a bottle. It is motivation in a bottle. It is energy in a bottle. It is get off your butt in a bottle. It is stop whining in a bottle. And if you use Slim and Sassy like it is going out of style, that is what's going to happen to you. And if you like make room in your life, right, and ask for the right things, that's what's going to happen. Because when you're going to lose weight is when you stop stressing and when you're actually happy. And when you are actually moving and you're actually motivated. So those things need to happen first before you lose weight in a way. And I was overweight. And but I was eating as well as I could. I was trying to exercise. I was doing all the right things. I'm vegetarian. You think that vegetarians are skinny. No problem here. I'm good. And so I was using Slim and Sassy. I was using frankincense. And it wasn't like I was adding that. It wasn't an add-on to my life. It wasn't. It was an absolute and complete integration. I looked for ways in which I could use these oils. I'm like, I wonder if I could use it for this. I wonder if I could use it for this. And I didn't care. I'm like, it's an oil. It's a plant. What's it going to do? It's not going to kill me. Promise. It is not going to kill me. I know this. I read it. I edited, medical journal articles. I know what will kill you. I almost died many times. And this isn't going to kill me. So I was like, all day long, I'm like, I wonder what this is going to do. How do I feel right now? Ooh, how do I feel right now? Ooh, oh my gosh, I feel like this. Awesome. Let's do it again. All day long. And I was really vain. I still am. So 90% of the oils that I was using, I was like on my face. Now, what's the closest thing to your face? Your brain. So, armadillo, hypothalamus. Right behind your optic nerve is a lot of sensory. It's your perception, perception is your frontal cortex. I put it on the back of my neck because I had really, really bad psoriasis on the back of my neck, coming down my neck. And so I was like always here. So what's going on here? Our arteries, lymph, back of the neck, hitting the brain. I walked around town one day in the light of day, which I never do because I hated light, without sunglasses, which I never did because I hated light. And people in town, because I lived there for like almost 20 years, were like, stop. They stopped, literally stopped and stared. And I was like, what happened to you? And how do I get that? I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, you look amazing. I'm like, I feel actually really good. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, essential oils. They're like, what? What is that? I'm like, I can tell you about it, but I'm not sure how. Let me get back to you. And they're like, no, don't get back to me. Give me your number. I'll get back to you because you don't call anybody. I'm like, oh, okay. So then, people were asking me about the oils. And so I called the lady that taught the class. It was Dawn Olson, who's also a team in doTERRA. So I never met Dawn, by the way. Remember, I did not know Dawn. And I am the largest part of her team right now. Proudly so. I owe her big time, right? And so I called her. I'm like, okay, so there are these people who want to learn about oils, and I'm not sure, what to do. What do I do? Can I just direct them to you, and you can just, hook them up and sell them oils or whatever? And she goes, no. Why don't you find a day that is going to work for all of them and let me come and I will teach a class for you? And I was like, don't know how to do that. So I called the transitional living place and asked them if I could have some people over. And they said, no, but this one time. I'm like, okay. So I had and they only gave me a limit. I could only have 4 people over. So I had these 4 people over, and 3 of them enrolled, and 1 of them bought a lot of oils. And so 2 weeks later, it was snowing. Oh, what else does it do in Wisconsin? And I was out getting mail. And so I got this mail, and it's a doTERRA, and it looked scary. And I was like, holy crap, how much money do I owe them? What did I do? So I opened this thing, and I opened this thing and I look in, and it's like, holy crap, it was more money than I like. It wasn't a lot of money. It wasn't, but it was for me. And I'm like, I don't know how I did this. So I took a picture of it, brought it to the bank, cashed it, and kept the money, and then took a picture of it, sent it to Dawn Olson, and said, hey, what's this? I don't understand. I'm not giving it back though. And she just laughs and she goes, no, this is the part I didn't want to, tell you about and scare you. I'm like, yeah, I would have been very scared because I feel like I'm robbing people. So what happened here? And so she explained the business. I didn't get it. I'm like, I don't understand. Just tell me what I need to do this again. And she goes, well, you can't have people at your house, so you need to figure something else out. So I'm like, okay, so I talked to the program that I was in, and they pay for certain things. And I asked them, and I had, they had a certain dollar amount, and I had the option of what I could spend money on. So I could spend money on sample bottles, on pads, or something else. I picked something else because sample bottles and tear pads are dispensable. They come, they go. They come, they go. I used the money to buy some books about oils, and I paid for my AromaTouch certificate. And then I went, and I didn't want to talk to my friends. I didn't want to approach people about this. And, because they've seen me fail at so many things. Really, I'm like the most successful, most awesome failure at doing amazing things. I started, it's amazing, and then that was how I thought about myself. I don't think that anymore. And so I didn't want that. I was embarrassed. And I, had a suspicion that I was in network marketing, but in denial at the same time about it. And so I went into this like a forum, and it's a really beautiful forum. It's called People Helping People. And it was part of the county that I lived in. It was started up as a grassroots program. It's called People Helping People. You just go there and you talk about what you need, and people help you, or people offer things. And so I offered free AromaTouch hand massages and free AromaTouch techniques for people. And I said, I'm practicing. I just learn how to do this. I'm not asking for money. I don't have anything. I look at this site, and the site has helped me so much. I don't have anything I can give you other than my time. But now I have something I can actually give you. Will you allow me? Will you allow me to do this? And people said yes. And they are now my doTERRA team.
Wow.
So I would meet with them one-on-one, sit with them. I would give them a mini class one-on-one, give them a massage or an AromaTouch technique afterward, ask them how they're doing, and give them some water, send them home, and then ask for permission to call them, obviously, follow up with them. And then I started teaching public classes. The first class I taught, like 2 people showed up. The second class I taught, 7 people showed up. By the time I left Wisconsin 2 years later, because I taught class on the same day every week, by the time that happened, I think we had like 80 or 90 people on a Tuesday night. So, yeah, you can do this.
So, yeah, I'm noticing that something that's resonating a lot with your story is consistency. And you found the way that you really focused on being dispensable, right? So you invested in what you felt you were comfortable with and what would work for you, which was getting that AromaTouch certification.
Yeah, I focused
and then
indispensable.
Go ahead.
It was the other way, the indispensable. I focused on the
Indispensable. Indispensable was to you just, because a lot of us, we come in and we may not. Some people funds are low, or maybe for some people money isn't a problem, or for some people they don't have a lot of time. For some other people they have all the time in the world. It doesn't matter where you fall into that. It's looking at what is absolutely indispensable. Would you agree with that? Right. And then going with that.
Right. So what feeds your mind? Meditation. What feeds your spirit? Programs that are about absolute self-development, not on a tangible level. It's not where they give you checklists. Do this, get this, do this, get this. But personal development programs that give you permission to be absolutely so congruent. It hurts so good. That's important. And then, giving yourself skill sets that help you provide a service for other people. And it doesn't need to be aromatage. It can be prayer. People who need prayer are people who need this and this to pray. And the oils do that. If you're going to pray for someone, give them some oils too, right? I mean, anything that's congruent to you. That's the skill. So skill meaning like learn everything you can about why people don't sleep. Not learn everything you can about what oils help you sleep. Notice the distinction. Learn everything about why people don't sleep, because now you're going to understand a little bit about their life and what they're going through. You're humanizing them, and when you humanize them, now you have a relationship. You can have a relationship, and then the oils come in as as the tool, the gift, not the sample, the gift.
So when we talked last week, what was a very huge aha moment with me is, I'm writing that down, the sample, not the sample, the gift. Love that. I love that. We're not sampling people, we're gifting them.
Absolutely.
Something. That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah,
so last week,
just say it, you got to believe it.
Yeah.
You can't just, because people will see through your rubbish, so you got to believe it. And so you got to get to a point where that is true.
Yes. The aha moment was that when I asked you, okay, what does your membership overview look like? What is your preferred tear sheet or system? And you're like, what? And then when you explained it to me, it was about connecting, and you just touched on it, asking, understanding that person. And it could be whether it's your family member, a complete stranger, or your BFF, we still need to ask questions to understand where they're at in their life, so that they can share with us what is it that they're looking for, right? How can we help them if we don't ask questions? So I love that. I love that because, and again, it's whatever works for any, I'm not saying that this is how everybody has to do it, or that your way is the only way. Absolutely not. Because again, what I love, and what I've learned in these 2.5 years is be you. Be you. Because when you do things, when you share doTERRA, when you do doTERRA, whatever you want to call it, from a genuine space, being you, people are going to see that, and they're going to appreciate that, and they're going to respect you, and they're going to be inclined to learn more about you, and then they're going to trust you, and then you're going to be able to help them, right? Yeah. So can you share with us real quick, because I do want to get some questions from the audience, is to kind of wrap it up, is give us some bullet points, some advice on how do you do a membership overview? What does your follow-up look like?
It's never the same. It's never the same. I'm sorry. It's not a good answer for people who are looking for duplication. I believe in the concept of companioning people, because
that was the word.
Yes, I companion people because I recognize that my agenda and their agenda are different. And when I do a membership overview, that's me fulfilling my agenda. So I can feel good about myself that I've done this. And so now I've put it on them if they are not going to get on LRP. So you can say, oh yeah, I did the membership overview. They just don't get it. And they're not on LRP. Oh, I know these people are on $40 LRPs. I don't know what to do. And it's like, blah, blah, blah. It's like waste of time. It's you. It's you. You did that. You know, when you do a membership overview, that's your agenda. Recognize that. Own it. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying recognize what you're doing. You're not doing them a favor by doing a membership overview. You are giving you're checking something off your list so you can feel better. So, and you've put the accountability on them. So instead, what I do is I sit with them and we have I give them a bit of space. And then my usual, my first interaction with them is usually to give them like ideas on how they can use the oils they already have. And then I usually have them during that time kind of reflect back to me some of the things that they liked about the oils, because if they are able to articulate something that they liked and experience that they liked, now they're making the decision that they want more. Not me. I'm not making that decision for them. They told me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also getting insight. You ask that question, you get insight into people like, wow, I didn't know that about you, and that's awesome that I do, So, I asked them about what experiences they've had, and then I asked them, like, what else do you want to learn how to, learn? Also, like, most of the times, I don't even know where to start. I'm like, well, open the box. Congratulations, you've begun. And, we talk about I asked them about what their goals are, but not so in like, what are your 3 health goals? What are the areas in your life that you would like to see different? I'm like, more like, if you could rewrite your day, what would you like to see different? Like, what would make your day awesome? So, again, they're like, oh, if I was less stressed at work. I'm like, well, you can deal with that. What stresses you out at work? She's like, can't focus, lack of energy. My coworkers are hard. My job is hard. People are ungrateful. I feel really stressed. Okay, I'm like, all right, cool. All right, what you want to do is get a diffuser so you can change everybody else's attitude around you. It works. And you want to put some balance on, and I want you to keep your balance in your purse, and I want you to make sure that before you walk into your house, you put that balance on, because the people who are the most important live in that house, and they shouldn't be collateral damage, and they shouldn't be collateral damage for your bad day. Agreed? And she's like, they're like, yeah, agreed, because I'm like, ask them, like, how many times has your bad day affected your evening that's supposed to be your relaxation time? That all the time. So let's fix that. I can fix that. Let's fix that. Do you want to fix that? Give me 30 days. And if I can change that stress level or the perception of the stress level, I can't change the, people being insensitive. I can't change anything about your life, but I can change your response to it. Because right now you're reacting to it. There's a difference. You can react to something or you can respond to something. How about you respond to something and try it? Put some elevation on the palms of their hands. I'm like, hold on to your negative thought. I want you to think about the worst day you've had this week. I want you to hold on to it, and I want you to be angry about it. Try it. They're like trying with the elevation. They're like, yeah, it's not working. I'm like, yeah, exactly. It's not. It's not working. You can't be angry. I just voodooed your serotonin.
Nice. Love it.
The oils can take serotonin. What they've done is they have, caused your body to release serotonin. That's the power of the oils. They don't change you, or they don't rearrange you. They shine you up. Like, boom, right there. They're like, what? How do I get some of this? I'm like, well, there's this LRP program.
Oh, Pram, I'm smelling like we need a part 2. Well, I would like to, we have time for one question. Would anybody like to ask Pram a question?
And just so you know, for those of you who are not in the time crunch, I will stay on for a few more minutes if you want.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Anyone would like to unmute themselves and ask a question?
Have I rendered everybody speechless?
I think so. Or do you have to unmute everybody?
I figured it out.
Oh, we got a question.
It's not a question. I just want to tell you, thank you so much. You have been an inspiration. I really, I you and your story.
Hold on 1 second, Erin. We're gonna mute everybody again. Yeah.
Okay.
There, I got it. I just wanted to say thank you. I don't really have a question. I just want to let you know that I really feel like I related to you today and your story and the way that you approach the business. And I learned a lot from it, and I'm going to use a lot of it. And your positive energy has really been inspiring. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
I'm cheering you on.
Thank you. And thank you, Sandra, for setting this up for us. You know, Sandra is my mentor, I like to call her. And thank you, Sandra, as well. I really appreciate both of you. Thank you.
Go out there and
have a wonderful day.
go out there and change lives.
I will. Thank you. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. Anyone else would like to ask Pram a question?
I don't have a question, but I have a whole page of notes, so thank you.
Oh,
Great.
Pram, this is Beth Phillips. She's actually the angel that introduced doTERRA into my life.
Oh, awesome. Good job. Anybody else have any questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Pram. This is Carla, and I just really appreciate getting to just meet you. Sorry. A lot of what you said I really resonated with, and I just really appreciate you so much expressing how the orange oil worked on you, because it took me back to when I first met Sandra, and she introduced me to Citrus Bliss, and the first thing I said to her is, how do I do this? How do I do this? So thank you so much for coming on today, this morning, and just giving us that piece of idea that, you know what, that why part, sometimes I don't even know how to find it. But now I understand a different way of looking at it and looking for it. And the joy and the happiness part is what's going to help me find it. So thank you. I appreciate it so much. Thank you, Sandra.
My pleasure, Carla. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
By the way, Pram, I spilled a whole bottle of Citrus Bliss on Carla the very first moment I sampled her.
I hope she didn't have to go out in the sun afterward.
No, it was night. Okay. Pram, does anybody else have a question or a comment?
I do.
Go ahead.
So I'm Katrina. When I first saw your video clip, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to meet this woman. And it's so weird. I said that and I never really thought that I would. So I am very thankful for Sandra to figure it out how we could. Carla and I were like, oh my gosh, this lady rocks. We love her. And like, you just took no for an answer. You never did. You never took no for an answer. Like, didn't matter what it was. So many of us are just so fortunate and lucky, and all of our stuff is like not nearly as difficult in my opinion. And yet here you were in a place that wasn't yours and an environment that you didn't really want, but you pushed through and you just kept going, and you thought outside the box. You're very creative, and all of your prior experience was able to help you get through and help so many other people. So thank you. I'm so proud to be able to meet you.
I can't wait to meet you in person. Make sure if you see me, you come and say hi to me.
I will. Thank you.
And,
thank you, Sandra.
And
my pleasure, Kat.
It's interesting that you say, you said what you did. I needed a reminder. We need a reminder of that every once in a while. That the things that seem to be awful in your life, the things that seem to be the most darkest, and the things that seem like they should break you, are really the things that will set you free. You just have to wait. Like, you still have to just keep going. You know, everything horrible that happened to me, if I could go back and change it, I wouldn't, because it would mean I wouldn't have today. I love today. And I will walk through that fire over and over again to get to today. Today is awesome, because today I know that because of the path I choose, thousands of people have oils in their life. I will never give that up. I'll never give that up.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Pam,
Yes.
anyone else? And we're getting a lot of response about single moms really connecting with you. 1,000 miles away, 3,000 miles away, connecting with you and being right there, and you filling up their cup and providing a light at the end of their tunnel, or some of them feeling like there's a dead end, and you just show them that there's actually a gate door that's open and they're going to run through it. You've shed some light. You've created a possibility for them where maybe they just couldn't really see it because I'm not a single mom. You know, I don't know what that is. I can encourage and love them and be there for them. But this is why I love and so blessed that you agreed to do this, because there's, in collaboration, there's such incredible power, and we can move mountains when we just collaborate and stop competing and just come together. And those messages keep popping up on my screen. I don't know if you could see them, but you know, just single mom, thank you. And thank you, Pram, for this morning, for these 65 minutes. Pram, I know how your commitment and dedication for domestic violence, and I just want you to know that that's near and dear to my heart, and you can, you know, count on me. And I know a lot of, you know, our doTERRA family. Please share with us whatever it is that you're working on, and you want some support in any way, reach out to us. You can count on us. I'll speak on behalf of all of us that, you know, to bring awareness to whatever it is. We're here, and we honor your journey. We thank you for it all, and we are grateful that you did the work, and that you dug deep, and that you are relentless, and that you broke the cycle, and that you stood up for yourself and your children. And by doing so, you're the voice for millions of women out there that can't see the light, that can't see hope, and don't believe that there's a way out. So thank you very much. It's been a great honor to have you on this morning and to be able to call you Pram. Thank you for living on our team. And one day we'll get to see you in person and give you a big hug. Thank you so much.
I look forward to that. And before I end this call, I want you guys to know that you are enough. You are enough. And don't ever think that you're not. But don't ever stop wanting to be better. Because your commitment to be better and your belief in your light could save someone's life. Because there are people out there like me who are walking. I look better now than I did in my 30s. live better now. And I'm not talking about money. Move. I want to do big things with my day because of the way I feel. You can rewrite someone's future for them. Take it seriously. I am telling you to go out and find me because I was a girl that wanted to die. I was a girl who was ready to die. I used to waste my prayers asking God to please exchange my life for somebody who actually wanted to live. I'm glad he ignored me because there are a lot of lives I've changed. And I'm not saying that with ego, I'm saying that with a full cup. This is my time. So never forget that you are worthy of asking to be lavished upon. And in every encounter that you meet with people, go beyond love, lavish them with it.
Writing that one down. Lavish.
That's what I have tattooed on my arm, actually, so I would never forget that God answered my prayer.
I would, lavish?
It's lavish in Greek.
I was just going to say that is what the name of this call was going to be, lavish.
Pramela, I do have a question.
Yeah.
There we go.
Memory. It was so funny to hear you share what your face looked like during your first class, because we all have classes where someone, well, it looks like they're not enjoying the experience. Because that was your experience, is that someone that you go after in a class and like make a point of talking to because they may be, because I think for us it kind of scares us away and we're like, oh, they don't want to be here. So I'll just talk to the people who were engaged. Do you find that you do the opposite, or do you still?
Oh yeah. I go ninja on them. I go up to them.
Wow.
I make sure I talk to them. I make sure I don't talk about oils.
Okay. Just get to them.
Love that.
I make sure I talk to them. I make sure I love them. I make sure I tell them something funny. I make sure I tell them something a little weird. I make sure I ask them something about themselves. I remember it and I'll text them about it. I never talk with them.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
I'll tell you, those people, like I look at the LRP, I'm like, what? $600?
Pramela, you are always welcome to Southern California. You have many doors open.
Yes.
So please don't hesitate to grab your kids one day. If you you want to go somewhere and you don't know where, just type in any zip code south of LA and we'll pick you up. Just tell us what time you're going to be at the airport and we'll come and get you.
Sounds good. Or better yet, if you want to invite me, I'll come. And the thing is, some of you are like, oh, I wanted to meet you. I'm like, ask. Ask, and I'm here. I'm not. I mean, like, what do? I do doTERRA. I get bitten by snakes.
Yeah.
I almost cut my finger off. Please save me from myself. Yeah. If any of you need anything, call me. I'm good. I'll pick up. I mean, ask Sandra. I'll pick up.
She did. I was like, what? Hello?
I'll put that.
Very cool.
The website, it's oilmaverick.com. It got hacked and it was a whole terrible mess, but I'm fixing it and it should be up and running on August 15th. And for those of you who are not going to convention, I am not going as well this year because I feel very called to be in service to the people who are unable to make it for convention. And so I'll be doing a bunch of Zoom calls. It's going to be called the Convention Within. And if you guys are interested, you can come hang out with me while everybody else is partying in Utah. We can party in the Zoom.
Woo!
Wow,
That's amazing,
awesome.
you guys. Isn't that, when she told me that, I was like, say what? I was like, oh my gosh. So for all of you who can't be there, she has opened the doors of her heart to you guys. And You'll have your own convention side by side in alignment with Pam. So come on now.
Wow, that is awesome. Thank
Isn't
you.
that awesome?
I think I'm the
So-
only diamond who's not going to be at convention. You know? People are going to be looking at my seat going, what?
Wonderful. Pram, enjoy your Saturday. Thank you again for your time
Thank you so
and
much.
your mission. It was an honor, truly.
Go
Thank
out
you.
there and change lives, make dreams happen, beginning with yours. Clear the clutter,
Woo.
go buy your couch. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Pramela.
Bye, guys.